Onimusha is one of those series that can be considered a deep cut. If you're jumping in for the first time, either due to Samurai's Destiny getting a re-release or because you are looking forward to playing Way of the Sword, Onimusha Warlords is where it all began. The game has a few systems that are a little obtuse. There are things that I wish I knew before I started playing, and I'll share them with you here. No spoilers. The game is only about 4.5 hours long, but I'll be showing footage from the first hour or so. Please leave a like on the video and a sub to the channel. Okay, let's go. Onimusha Warlords is the first game in the Onimusha series and initially launched back on the PS2. Developed and published by Capcom in the PS2 era, the game has some very familiar game design choices that you might pick up on right away. First off, very much like early Resident Evil games, Onimusha Warlords uses pre-rendered backgrounds and a static camera. This means that the game can look even better when running on the native PS2 hardware. It also means that the game's look is timeless. Much like Resident Evil, Onimusha has the same charm. This includes the goofy dialogue, playful tone, and similar game mechanics.
Open the door! I've killed all the monsters! He killed?
Huh?
What should we do?
The game puts you in a serious setting, but then just lets you have fun with the responsive and easy to learn controls. You mainly fight with the X button and block is on the left bumper, very much like Ninja Gaiden. Early on, that's really all you need to be familiar with. You'll get a gauntlet, which would allow you to have different swords with magical abilities. The swords themselves have different attack speeds and damage, the blue one being very middle of the road on both. Red does more damage but is swung more slowly, while the green attacks are very quick but has low damage. Each of them have very different magic abilities that use from the magic bar up top when you press Y. The color of that bar depends on the sword that you switch to, but you'll need these white orbs to refill the bar. There are also red orbs that give you experience and yellow that's health. You can only collect the orbs by holding B. It makes you stand still as they fly towards you, but the orbs will also disappear after a short while, so you'll need to bide your time accordingly. The main thing I underestimated were the save stations. Not the save stations for the saving, but for enhancing. You can upgrade your weapons here, as you might have guessed, but you can also upgrade your inventory items at the same time. But the main one being upgrading herbs to medicine. This is very much like Resident Evil. The herb themselves are a small healing, but the medicine is a full heal. This costs XP to do, but don't do it at every instance. As you probably saw, under the weapon upgrade is the level upgrade. At times throughout the game, you'll come across doors with these goopy looking seals on them. You'll need to be holding that color sword and have that level of upgrade to unlock the door. So yes, it means you can't just use your XP to upgrade the sword's attack power and change herb to medicine. Well, you could, but then you might have to grind some areas to get your XP back up to progress the game any further. Another thing in the game that gave me some trouble was the camera. I found it swaps and jumps around much more than you'd expect. There's been times where I walk down a hallway and it would swap like 3 times to a new angle. Normally this isn't a big deal, but when you're fighting enemies and even a boss, it can flip and get you turned around looking the wrong way. What I had to do was find the angle that showed me the largest area and wouldn't swap on me. This only got very troublesome when you're fighting in areas that can seemingly just use a wider angle and jump around less. Instead, you're having to find your bearing each time it switches to a new screen. A couple more things worth mentioning. One being that you can switch between your equipable swords using the right trigger. This is good when you need to unlock doors that require a different sword that you're holding, but mainly during boss fights. Each sword's special meter is separate from the others, so you can bounce from sword to sword using up their special gauge since it won't detract from the others. I came to really appreciate this. If you're low on health during a boss, don't always reach for your healing right away. I found that if you use your sword magic, there's a good chance some yellow orbs will be dropped by the boss. If you manage to kill the boss, they will drop a bunch of XP as you'd expect, but also enough health and magic orbs to fill you up. So you're never walking away from a boss fight with no HP left. The last thing is that the left trigger will swap between your ranged weapons. There are really only a handful of times during the game where you need to rely on your ranged weapons anyways, but this is a good tip to know regardless. Not the best tip to end it on, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave it a like. A sub to the channel would also be appreciated. Thank you. Let me know if you played Onimusha or if you're jumping in now for the first time. I hope these tips helped you either way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe.